Hey everyone, welcome to Be Our Guest, our weekly virtual happy hour with industry professionals. I'm Janki, Artistic Director of Live and in Color. We are an artist-serving organization dedicated to developing new stage works that promote and celebrate diversity. Please consider making a donation to Live and in Color today to support our artists who continue to make socially inclusive and bold work during this time. Just go to liveandincolor.org for more information. Also, Live and in Color is currently accepting submissions for playwrights, composers, and lyricists of color and other underrepresented communities interested in developing their new musical. Submissions are due in exactly 2 weeks on March 31st. So make sure to check out our website for more information on that. Now, grab your cocktail and start leaving your questions for our amazing guest in the comments. Please help me welcome an incredible performer, choreographer, and director. She's appeared in so many Broadway shows and so many of the great Broadway shows, including being part of the original company of A Chorus Line as the infamous Connie Wong. I'm so honored to have her with me this evening. Please welcome the spectacular Baayork Lee. Hello, cheers. Welcome, my friend.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine. I've survived. You know, it's been a year. I'm just isolated and, trying to learn the Zoom thing. And
well, you figured it out to be with us today, so thank you.
Yes.
Are you in New York?
I'm in New York.
Have you been here pretty much the whole year, or?
Yes, I came back from Barcelona the end of February, and we produced Cinderella on the 2nd of March, and then we were shut down. Boom.
Yeah.
And here we are,
Wow.
So trying to pick up the pieces and, keep going. You know what it is to have a 501c3. So
yeah, you just got to keep going. Well, thank you for being with us. I know you are a native New Yorker, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about where you grew up?
Right in the middle of Chinatown.
Yeah.
Mott Street, grew up there, went to school there at the Transfiguration School. My father had a Chinese restaurant, 17 Mott. And, the casting people came down looking for kids for The King and I. And so we all went up. I was 5 years old. We all went uptown to the Majestic Theater. I've never been on a train. We never left our little ghetto. So
it's such an incredible story. I mean, making your Broadway debut at 5 years old in the original company of The King and I mean, it was one of the first shows to feature Asian American performers, right? And what do you remember about those being so young in those early days, going on that new adventure?
First impressions for everything, riding on the train, going into a theater, seeing the red velvet seats, and oh my gosh, a chandelier. What was that?
Yeah.
And just meeting all different kids, and I was just, my eyes were so open, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in this space. I wanted to be in the theater. I knew at 5.
Yeah.
And I just knew, this is where I want to be. I was home.
Had you been dancing already, taking ballet class when you got King and I, or did that happen afterwards?
I was 3 running around, running around this school. The man who lived upstairs from us, his name was Claude Marchant, and he was a featured dancer with the Catherine Dunham Company, and he was teaching at her school. And so he said to my mother at 3 or whatever, 4, why don't you just bring her? And I just remember just running around on my toes. That was it. Running across the room. That was it. That was my dance training, guess.
And was it post King and I that you started more formal training?
Well, that wasn't formal.
I mean, post King and I, after King and I.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Because I used to watch the dancers warm up. And I would ask my mother to ask them what they were doing. And they said, well, we're warming up. And so we had two sections. We had the ballet section and the ballet dancers from the Jerome Robbins,
Yeah.
New York City Ballet. And then we had the um, Yuriko modern Graham. And I just said, well, I got into the School of American Ballet because of Jerome Robbins helped me get in, and I was 8 at that time, and
Wow.
I stayed for 12 years. So I got incredible training there, and also I was lucky to appear in Balanchine's first Nutcracker that he created, and that's where I fell in love with Maria Talchi because we would watch her, and we would go down and steal her toe shoes.
That's amazing. Were you a party girl? What were you in Nutcracker when you did the first Nutcracker?
No. I was a soldier.
A
Then
soldier.
and years later I was a Polish Chanel,
Yeah.
and then I had understudied Original Rabbit, and
Nutcracker is really a rite of passage for any young dancer. I was Fritz and then a rat. All the things. um, you basically grew up on Broadway, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are some other memories in the early days when you were starting out in being, with auditions and just sort of getting out there as a young performer?
Well, I knew I was fired at 8 because I outgrew my costume. And I was collecting unemployment at 8 years old. My mother would have to pick me up to sign my.
Oh no!
Everybody knew me at the unemployment office, but I knew that I needed to have formal training, and that's why we asked Jerome Robbins, and we asked everybody, how can I do this? And so I knew that I was going to School of American Ballet, and I just knew that I needed formal training, and I knew that this is where I wanted to be. And I just remember as I was leaving with all of after 3 years, 8 years old, and we were going at 44th Street. We're at the St. James Theater, and we were going down the subway. And I just turned around and I saw the marquee, and I just said to myself, "I will come back. I will come back." And so then Richard Rogers, they were having auditions for Flower Drum Song, and he remembered me. And so I got into Flower Drum Song. But at that time, I was just starting Performing Arts High School, and I was not supposed to work.
But you did?
Oh, yes, I would have my dresser on matinee days because the bell would ring at 3. I had my makeup on, and I would run down. We were at the St. James. School was on 46 and 6, and I would have my dresser, throw my books in her face, put on the costume, and then I would come on.
That's amazing. That's such an incredible.
One day I came out, bold with makeup, and my ballet teacher, Bella Malinka, she was walking by. I didn't realize she lived on 44th Street and 9th Avenue. And she said, "Baayork, are you still working?" And I said, "Oh." So the next day, my mother was called in, and I had to make a decision to either leave school or quit the show. So, of course, I quit the show. Yeah.
How long did that go on before you had to do that? How long?
A year or so, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That really is such an incredible story.
But everybody, it's like, she's working. And you know why we couldn't work? Because Elliot Feld was taken by Jerome Robbins. He was a senior, and to do West Side on Broadway. Yeah. And so they were so happy they allowed him to go, but he never went to school. And so after that, they said, "No more work." And I said, "Elliot, Nowadays, I see him, Elliot. He has an Elliot Fell dance company. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of work, you have worked so hard and you've consistently worked your entire career. A lot of it alongside the great Michael Bennett, from A Joyful Noise to Promises, Promises. There you are in Turkey Lurky. How did the two of you originally meet?
Um, so Michael Bennett would come down every summer to New York from Buffalo. And at that time, the man who lived upstairs was teaching at the Catherine Dunham School. And she had closed the school. And one of her dancers, Sevilla Fort, who became my mentor, she opened up her own school.
Yeah.
And so Michael would come to her school. And that, we were kids, and he would come every summer. And it's so funny because years later he said, I remember the day you got Flower Drum Song. You came back to the studio and you said, well, this is going to be my second Broadway show. And he said, I wanted to strangle you because I was leaving. I was just dreaming and you were doing two shows. So there was Michael Bennett envying me.
I love that.
But that's where we met. And then years later, I went into Here's Love, and Michael was in the show, dancing in the show. And oh my God, we reconnected. And that's when he told us that he didn't want to dance anymore, that he wanted to be a choreographer. And we all went, oh, yes, you want to be a choreographer. And so he said, yeah, because at that time, Dev, you had to have a choreographer. Robbins had his dancers, Fosse had his dancers, Peter Gennaro, everybody had their dancers. And I worked because I worked as a kid. I never worked as a dancer in, shows. I was always a kid. And so for Michael Bennett to say, I want you to be one of my dancers, and I went, oh, that's great. Well, how are you going to get in? Is Fosse going to move over? Is,
Yeah.
Ron going to move over? And he says, no, I'm going to choreograph. But of course, he had to leave New York, and do summer stock in order for him to come back to get any recognition.
Yeah. And boy, did he come back, and he brought you with him when he came back. Of course, after many, many shows, you went on to famously originate the role of Connie Wong in A Chorus Line, and it has become one of the all-time great, there you are, all-time great shows. What was it like being part of such a historic moment in theater?
Well, I guess it's like the pilgrims or somebody. You don't know when you
Yeah.
are in it because you're in the thick of it and you're just trying to get through the moment. And we all loved Michael, and he was the fair-haired boy trying to make it at the time, and to make breakthrough. We had already done Henry Sweet Henry and A Joyful Noise and Seesaw,
Yeah.
when he said he wanted to develop this thing. We didn't know what this thing was, and we knew that Michael was special, and so we were following our leader. He was going to, Broadway was dying, and what are we going to do with if you can't dance anymore? Those questions, are
Yeah.
all there. What are you going to do if you break a leg? All of those questions. And so two dancers, Michelle Peacock, is that her name? Oh my God. Senior moment. And Tony Stevens.
Yeah.
They were in Seesaw, and they, said, let's have this gathering to find out where Broadway is going. What are we going to do? And they called Michael, and Michael was smart enough to bring a tape recorder. It was really their gig. But, Michael had a huge personality, and everybody called their friends. So it was, 24 hours. And anyway, that was called the tape sessions,
Yes.
and everybody talked about themselves. And Michael started. Wayne Salento gave a warm up. Um, there were dancers who were in shows, so it couldn't start until after midnight, and things like that. But when he took the tapes to Joseph Papp didn't know what it was, a book, a show, a play, a movie, but the stories were very interesting. And he said he would give him a skeleton crew and a space and to develop something. And so that was the first workshop. And we all played ourselves. I played the assistant. I
Yeah.
was the assistant dance captain. And then when we went into the second phase, Michael said, I heard your story. And I said, he wants to put me on the line. And I said, oh, no, 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 I'm fine. He said, nobody wants to hear about a short girl that wanted to be a ballerina and from Chinatown. And he said, oh, no, 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 no. So then Tony Stevens came in as the assistant, and
Yeah.
I went on to the line. But, in those days, you had to, if I was a Michael Bennett dancer, whether I was in the show or not, I was going to be involved.
Yeah.
You,
I mean,
you
part of
always
his posse. You were part of his group, of course.
yeah, absolutely. So whether I was in the show or whether I was backstage or I was getting coffee or whatever, I knew that I was going to be involved. So,
It's, Chorus Line really was such a cultural game changer in so many ways. I know probably when you were starting out, you didn't realize that, but when did it even click that you were part of something that was changing musical theater forever?
Absolutely not. We were so, he took away my line, he took the song away, and oh my God, it's the actor, how many lines do I have in the show? And, I'm not in that scene. But I must say, when we, because it took us a year to develop all of this, Michael had to go away to raise the money and things like that. But I just remember we were down at the Public Theater, and Bob Lapone, who was Zach,
Yeah.
he called me and he said, "Look, look!" And we looked out the window, and there were a line of limousines. And that night we had Groucho Marx, we had Jackie Onassis, we had Diana Ross sitting on the stairs with her kids.
Wow.
Lucille Ball was, and we're going, wait a minute, well, what is this? I'm so busy. Can I get the note? Wayne Salento, God bless him, and Michael Stewart on the other side. I said, well, how am I going to find this note? Because, I didn't have any melody. I didn't have a song. I had this thing. And Marvin said to me, oh, when Rick sings in the middle of his song and you find that note. So I said to Wayne, could you hum that note for me? He was humming that high note. Still, got it, Baayork.
Well, whatever works, you got to do whatever makes it happen. I mean, so the show, during the original production, you were an assistant choreographer to Michael, and for many years after, you worked as his assistant. How did you juggle the responsibilities of working as an actor, as well as being an assistant, as well as being a director, choreographer? I mean, you wore so many hats, and most of your career.
Yeah, it was in Promises that Michael came to me because our dance captain was Margot Sappington, and she went off to do the naked show. What is it called? Let My People Come? No.
Yeah, or Oh Calcutta?
Oh, Calcutta, yes. Yeah. Michael was offered Oh Calcutta, I heard, and he said, no, Margot's always undressed. Let her do it. So she left us, and Betsy Haug, who was Ron Lewis's dance captain out of Vegas, she became the dance captain. And of course, I loved boogieing in the back and having fun because I love being, I was on Broadway. And then Michael took her to London to do the London production. And then he said to me, you're going to be the dance captain. I went, oh, I have to give Jerry Orbach notes. Are you kidding? And he said, no, 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 no. And believe me, he really trained me for a chorus line,
Yeah.
because he really trained me for a chorus line, how to give notes, how to keep my book, to track all of the everybody in the show. And then after 3 years, the show closed, and I became the center girl the last year of the show. Michael sent me out for about 2 years to reproduce the show with Bob Moore, the original director. So I started to reproduce his work. And then, then came Seesaw. Oh, and in between, I did the movie Jesus Christ Superstar. I went to Israel to do the movie. And then I came back, and yeah.
And you have gone on to like direct the show and choreograph the show all over the world. I mean, it must be hundreds of productions by this point. Why do you love coming back to it? And what do you think makes the show still so relevant today?
Well, first I have to say that when Michael said that, he gave me the show downtown opening night. And he said, Baayork, this, you're going to take this all over the world. I had just done Seesaw, which was a flop. I had done Henry Sweet Henry was a flop. We were downtown. We didn't know if this was going to run. And he's telling me that you're taking this all over the world. And I go, oh, yeah, sure. Well, okay, Michael, well, let's wait for the reviews. And here I am 46 years later. But when we got to Broadway, we moved from Uptown immediately. And then then after a year, Michael took us to California, the original company. 4 stayed behind, then, but in between all of that time, I was really training for this job, because we had 4 companies going on at once. Michael had an international company. Mm-hmm. He had the Anne Reinking company that was replacing the New York company. Then we had the company going out to California that had some members that had stayed in New York. So we had 3 companies going rehearsing at the same time, plus covers. And the basement of the at City Center was this huge room, and we had like 15 Cassies and 8. I mean, and I had to keep track of everything. Bob Avian and myself, we kept track of everything, and so that was incredible. So when we got to California, Michael said, we're doing the London company. And so I had to go to London to help with that company, which had started in Canada. I mean, it was just like a big puzzle. It's unbelievable.
And the response to it all over the world is equally, I mean, it's no matter where it's done, people just flock to it and just fall in love with the show. Why do you think that is? What is it about it that makes people...
Because what Michael says in the beginning, this is dedicated to anyone who's ever marched in step, if you were in a marching band, if you were in an orchestra, if you were, this is dedicated to you, because everyone on that stage is someone that or you're up there. But also it's about the love. It is about love. And, we sing our last song, which is our anthem song, What I Did for Love. And what they did in the movie is they turned it all around and they made it a love song for Cassie to Zach. But that is every dancer, every hairdresser, anybody who those frontline workers, people who really are dedicated to their job, and they love it. They really love it. And we would get letters saying, we're going to quit our job because you people are really enjoying, and we see the love coming out. And I think it's because everyone can relate to the show, and it is all about love. And we need that more than ever now.
Absolutely.
But I want to go back to, I had to tell, because Michael would send me to London and then I would go back and perform. Then he would send me to Australia and then I would come back and perform. And then finally, I would go to Stockholm and come back and perform. And finally, I got the original company together and I said, listen, I just want to tell you that I am not going to be performing anymore. I'm going to be leaving you. I mean, we were like this, so it was hard for us to split. But I did tell them that I would dedicate myself to honoring their work because all of us put so much into it,
Mm-hmm.
and that I will always be true to their words and their contribution to the show. And that was the last time I performed
Well,
in
and
Los
you
Angeles.
definitely have carried that torch beautifully for so many years. And the show, changed so many people's lives, including mine, and so I will always be grateful to you and that whole original company for, giving us that gift. I want to jump ahead because, you have had an amazing career. In 2017, you were awarded the Isabel Stevenson Tony Award for all the work you've done as the founder of the National Asian Artists Project. Could you tell our viewers a little bit more about the work that NAP does and your mission? It's an incredible organization.
I tell you, I was in South Africa,
Yeah.
and I was I was helping them develop a theater program to go into the townships to train them to know their status. That was the theme of this show, and uh, we were changing lives. We were changing lives. And I go to every country, and Japan and Korea and all these countries. And with a chorus line, I give them the basics of we're just singers and dancers, but no, we're now triple threats and discipline. And this is Broadway. And I'm changing all of these lives. And I went, bing, I have not helped my community. And so I came back and I directed The King and I, and Zoe and Stephen Eng were my assistants, and everybody had, just where do they? I said, where do they go? Where do they go? And they said they're waiting for the next Saigon and they're waiting for the next K&I. And I said, I've been thinking about forming a company. And Stephen and Zoe said, well, let's do it now. And so that was 2006, I believe, and so NAP was born. And that was to, give our Asian artists a platform to perform in all the shows that they would never be cast in.
Mm-hmm.
But also I thought, what, we really have to start further down the line and start with the youngins.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, going back to my community in Chinatown, I didn't have anything. I had to leave, in order to get any kind of training, training. But of course, it's very different now. We've got little dancing schools all around. But I thought,
cool. For young Asian performers, there's, they don't even know it's available to them. And you're offering this beautiful opportunity and gift to them.
Yes. And I wanted to bring in working performers to teach them so that they can go and see them in the Grinch at Madison Square Garden, or they can just go and see them on Broadway. Telly Leon came, and just to open up their minds, because with the Tiger Moms and the Asian community, I am developing really to let them know there's Broadway, and it's only on 44th Street up that way. That this, we walked by the theater, but we never thought we would be going in, and here they are. And it's been 10 years that I've been at PS1 124, the Young Wing elementary school, and those kids now are, almost finishing college.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And it's so wonderful to have them come back with a little bag. Miss Baayork, look at my Lion King bag. My mother took me to see Lion King. Wow.
Wow,
They're going to see Broadway shows, and they're singing songs from Beauty and the Beast. And, they can name the characters. And not only that, we give them voice and diction, and they can stand up and they can, well, you were at my gala.
yes, which was spectacular.
You were at
So
my gala.
talented, those young people.
And they were some that came back and said, they all have, we've given them a voice. And that's what, yeah.
Well, 10 years into it, recently you had someone do a documentary on the students called Curtain Up. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then,
well, we had, oh my God, I'm all, anyway. I don't know what happened. I was playing with that. We had a student from Columbia University, Huey. He was doing his master's, and so he came to our school, and for 1 year he followed our class, and they were doing Frozen 2 for kids. And then we go to the Junior Theater Festival down in Atlanta every year. And they're rock stars down there. They're the youngest. They're the only ones from New York. They're the only Asians, and there's 6,000 other kids coming from all over the world. But my kids are rock stars.
and so you basically followed them around for a year, right?
We followed them around for a year. And then when it was finally finished, he submitted it to festivals in China and in Canada, and then all of a sudden it's just taken off, and it's at the International Children's Festival.
Well, we actually have the trailer that we'd love to show. Just
good, and I'll try to get myself out of it.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
PS 124 Theater Club is an award-winning after-school program based in Chinatown.
Most of our kids are Asians. Asians can perform.
There's something about music and dance that moves the soul. This is about being a part of America.
I like everything about acting. I don't know how to describe it, I just like it.
I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't know why, actually.
It's easier to be scared than happy.
Who's Asian here?
Me, not you!
You!
Yeah, because I'm Chinese Asian. I'm 100% Chinese.
你为什么中国人都不会中文呢?
She sides with China in the Olympics, and I side with the U.S.
Yeah.
And she gets so angry.
And you know what my mom told me? Asian people are horrible at acting. Cannot be acting.
This is important. This is your last show here. You have to be proud of this.
Charlotte, that's so good. Be a good girl. That's what this point is, okay? That's not okay, Russell.
That's not holding hands. This is holding hands, right? You guys can do it too. Whose foot was involved with William's head?
I did it.
I'm not doing this.
I didn't kick in his head or smack him in the face. It's probably like a second dream after realizing that it doesn't get you a lot of money. And then I'll finally realize acting isn't my real thing, but I still won't give up and I'll still do acting.
I thought I could really actually maybe become an actor, but you don't know when life throws you curveballs, so you never know.
So beautiful. I mean,
look at all of those festivals. They've been, my kids.
It's so beautiful. I mean, Baayork, the work you're doing is really extraordinary, and thank you for everything you do. Our mission at Live and in Color is to connect diverse communities to create new stage works. What does having an inclusive working environment mean to you?
Oh my goodness. I've been in the other world for so long, and to come back home, and to see we've produced Oklahoma Carousel, Hello Dolly, Oliver, Into the Woods, and to see those people go on, Devin Eloff was starring in my Carousel, and then seeing him on Broadway, as Tui. On and on. Manna Nichols was in Oklahoma, and then she's the first Asian to play, My Fair Lady down at Arena Stage. What can I say? This is what it's all about, but my community needed help, and that's what we're doing. And more than ever, this is our time now. And, we have another program, and it is called Discover New Musicals. And we take new musicals and we cut them down to 30 minutes. We have 4 Asian directors that we're also honing, directors, and all Asian actors. And that's a Discover series, and also we have the choir.
Yes, you're doing. I don't know how you do all of that. I mean, I know it's only like 4 of you running the show over there, and you're like doing all this work. Viewers, please go to their website and check out all the amazing work that Baayork and her team are doing. We're sort of running out of time, but I want to take a few questions from our viewers. Let's see. Iman says, what advice do you have for a dancer hoping to break into choreography? Ooh. Yeah,
well, you can answer that too, Dev. You have to really hook on to a choreographer, somebody that knows somebody that, go and take their class, or if you're in a show. For myself, I have a lot of dancers come to me and say, I think it's time for me to go on the other side of the table. Would you take me under your wing? It's really difficult. Yeah. But also, I'm talking about Broadway. I'm talking about musical theater. There are dance companies. If you want to be a modern dance choreographer, start doing your own work and putting it on tape, and don't give up, because you might have the style that everybody goes, wow, something new, Yeah.
Such great advice. Let's do one more.
Okay.
Anna Howard says, best advice you give your students on how to sustain a long career in the industry. Ooh, $1 million question.
First of all, be a good person.
Yeah. So important, right? It sounds so basic, but it really is.
But also, you have to be prepared. And be prepared means that you have to study. All of this just didn't come. You have to spend hours at the bar, not drinking, but, at the ballet bar, or in dance class, in tap class. And, it's about discipline. You must have the discipline, and, warm up every day. Hey, I'm still here. I'm still doing my class, my hour and a half warm up before every rehearsal.
Yeah.
The Baayork BB body.
The classic Baayork warm up that we all love.
And those sit-ups, the crunches, because in a chorus line, all the lighting is coming down on you, and you have to have the 6-pack. And so, those boys have to have the, 6-packs, and
Stay in shape. Let's do one more question. Robert says, what are your memories of learning the turkey lurky dance?
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Well, first of all, Turkey Lurky started out not with dancers at all. It was Donna McKechnie and 2 singers, and they had tutus, and they had turkey heads, and they put six desks together, and they were kind of moving it because they wanted it very organic, secretaries just, And then Michael was in the back going, oh, no. Get those chairs, those tables out of the way. Get me some dancers. And we started learning that dance. But, Michael Bennett knew how to build a number. And I'm telling you, we were exhausted, but he kept saying, keep doing that step, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing
This
it.
one?
And very famous step
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a signature step.
Yes.
But we were at the chiropractor at least, you know, once or twice a week, you know, our necks.
Yes. I mean, for the viewers who don't know it, look up Turkey Lurky Time from Promises to Promises on YouTube, and you'll see Baayork and Donna McKechnie and Margot Sappington, right?
Margot Sappington.
Yeah. It's like some of the most unbelievable choreography you will ever see. Baayork, we are out of time. It goes by so fast, right? So before we go, please consider supporting our organization by going to liveandincolor.org to donate. All money raised goes towards our amazing artists and developing their new work. And please, again, make sure to check out NAP's website to support Baayork and her amazing artists. Also, be sure to tune in to Be Our Guest next week when I talk to actor, singer, and playwright of the show Insomnia, Vishal Reddy, an actor and playwright of shows such as Rage Play, Nandita Shenoy. It's going to be an amazing conversation. They're two very, very talented friends of mine. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. And thank you, Baayork. It's always such a joy to have you with me. Would you lead us in a little toast before we say goodbye?
Yes, yes. The best of luck to you and your company. I just remember when you started, you asked me to do a promo for you because I really believe in what you're doing, and everybody should really support. Yes, in Living Color.
Thank you, Baayork.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
It's time to change.